before spells, before wands, before anything mortals would ever call magic, there was sound, a single note in a void without form, sung by the one who was before all things, Eru Iluvatar. From that note came others, and from those notes came the music of the Ainur, a song so vast it shaped the bones of the world. Every mountain, every sea, every star you've ever seen began as a vibration in that divine melody. That was magic, not sorcery, not illusion, but the will of creation itself, given rhythm and harmony. It was pure, perfect, and alive. But then, one voice changed the tune. Melkor, the mightiest of the Ainur. He sang not in harmony, but in pride, twisting the melody to serve his own design. And in that instant, dark magic was born. Because in Tolkien's world, darkness is never a separate power. It is the corruption of light. The same song, played wrongly. The same flame, burning without purpose. When Melkor's voice clashed against the music of the others, creation trembled. It didn't stop the melody. It scarred it. Every shadow that would ever fall across Middle-earth began right there, in a single note of dissonance that refused to yield. That is the first truth of dark magic. It isn't about spells or tricks or power stolen from gods. It's the rebellion of will, the refusal to serve anything greater than oneself. And when the world was made, that discord was woven into its very foundation, into the rivers and stone, the air and the flame. Even beauty carries the echo of that first rebellion. For what was once sung in light cannot be unsung. It can only be distorted. So when we speak of dark magic in Middle-earth, we're not speaking of a craft. We're speaking of a disease, an infection that began before the first sunrise, when one being decided that harmony was not enough. That was the first fall. And the world has been learning its consequences ever since. When the world was still young, Melkor, who would become Morgoth, the Black Enemy, learned the first secret of power. That creation could be shaped by will, that to know the music was not enough. One could also try to rewrite it, and so he poured his strength into the world itself. Every stone, every storm, every fire that burned in Arda carried a trace of his being. He wanted to rule the melody by becoming part of it, but the more of himself he gave, the smaller he became. That was the price of corruption. To twist creation, one must bleed into it. And piece by piece, Morgoth bled away his divinity. His magic was not light or fire or word. It was dominion, the desire to possess, to take what was made by others and make it his. Every fortress he built, every monster he spawned, every curse he spoke, it was not creation. It was enslavement. The orcs were not born. They were broken. Elves mutilated until they reflected his hatred. The dragons were not inspired by the music. They were the silence after it. His power was not to make, but to unmake. And yet his servant learned even faster. Sauron, once the Maiar of craft and order, saw in his master's fall a new kind of wisdom. He realized that true dark magic was not about destruction. It was about binding will to metal, spirit to object, light to darkness. And so he forged the rings of power, artifacts that carried his essence, his will, his command, his hunger, disguised as beauty. The elves made rings to preserve, to heal and protect the fading lands. But Sauron's craft twisted that purity into control. Each ring was a chain made of light, and in the heart of Mount Doom, he forged the link that would bind them all. The One Ring was not a weapon. It was a parasite, It did not strike its victims. It fed on them. Fed on greed, on fear, on the illusion of control. For dark magic in Middle-earth has never been a fire you cast outward. It is the fire that burns inward until the one who wields it becomes nothing but ash with eyes. From the arrogance of Morgoth to the cunning of Sauron, every act of dark sorcery began with the same lie, that power can be owned, that will can be chained, that light can be consumed without consequence. But darkness is patient, and everything it devours, it keeps. Every shadow in Middle-earth carries the same secret. Power taken without purpose always consumes the hand that holds it. Morgoth poured his strength into the world, and in doing so, he became weaker than the world he tried to master. His body was vast, but his spirit was hollow. By the end, he could no longer create flame without feeding it from his own flesh. He had filled Arda with himself, and in doing so, he trapped his soul inside a prison of his own making. That is the first law of dark magic. You cannot possess creation without becoming part of what you corrupt. Sauron learned that lesson too late. When he forged the One Ring, he bound his life to it, his will, his essence, his very being. And when the ring was destroyed, so was he, not slain by sword or fire, but unmade by his own design. The Nazgul, the ring wraiths, were no different. Men of power who thought the rings would grant them immortality. And in a way, they did. They were not killed. They were emptied, stripped of all will, but obedience. Eternal, yes, but only as shadows of their former selves. That is the hidden truth behind Middle-earth's dark magic. It is not the power to destroy, but the power to erase, to hollow out everything it touches, until only the illusion of strength remains. Because in Tolkien's world, darkness is never a separate force. It is simply light that has forgotten its purpose. And yet, there is one final truth. Even in the deepest shadow, the original flame, the flame imperishable, still endures. It cannot be destroyed. It waits. And sometimes it remembers. That is why evil can never truly win in Middle-earth, because every dark power is born from light, and in trying to devour it, it only consumes itself. The truth behind dark magic is not about spells or curses. It is about will, about the choice to serve harmony, or to defy it, to create or to control. And in that choice lies the fate of every being in Arda. So tell me, do you think power itself corrupts? Or is it only the hearts that wield it that turn even light into shadow? Write it in the comments below. Because in the end, every shadow was once a song. And every song still remembers the light.